Today we're going to talk about dangling and misplaced modifiers and how to fix them. So first of all, you might be like, what's a modifier? Well, a modifier is a word, phrase, or clause that describes, clarifies, or gives more information about something. So a dangling or misplaced modifier is when that word, phrase, or clause is placed in a weird spot to make it confusing, or the modifier is written awkwardly so that it's unclear what it is actually supposed to be describing. We're going to look at some examples, but there are many ways to fix a dangling or misplaced modifier. Oftentimes, you can just move a misplaced modifier closer to what it's supposed to be describing. Another easy way to fix it is by changing the sentence into a complex sentence, which is actually what we are going to practice. But first, let's look at some examples of dangling modifiers. So, what is unclear about this sentence? Talking on the phone, Jill didn't hear her mother. Well, who exactly is talking on the phone here? Are Jill and her mother having a conversation with each other on the phone? Is Jill talking on her phone so she doesn't hear her mother calling? The dangling part is talking on the phone. So we need to fix that. And again, there are several ways to fix dangling modifiers, but it's easy to fix them by turning the sentence into a complex sentence. Now, this sentence could easily be fixed by adding either an adjective dependent clause or an adverb dependent clause to show who is actually talking on the phone. So, first, let's look at an adjective dependent clause. Jill, who was talking on her phone, didn't hear her mother yelling from the other room. So, you can see I've revised the sentence a little bit, but I also added this adjective dependent clause right here, who was talking on her phone, to describe Jill. So I changed it into a complex sentence to make it clear. Now, here's a way I could do it with an adverb dependent clause. Since Jill was talking on her phone, she didn't hear her mother calling from the other room. So here I added an adverb dependent clause, since Jill was talking on her phone. Either way is fine, and again, there are many ways to fix a dangling modifier. Let's look at another dangling modifier. Dropped in the bushes, Susie found her keys. Wait a minute. Did someone drop Susie in the bushes? I think they meant her keys were in the bushes. The dangling part is dropped in the bushes. Now, on this one, I think a really easy way to fix it would be to add an adjective dependent clause to describe the keys. So, just a reminder, an adjective dependent clause starts with a relative pronoun. So, here's a possible way I could fix this. Susie found her keys, which she had dropped in the bushes. Which she had dropped in the bushes is an adjective dependent clause to describe the keys. What about this one? At the age of 12, my mother made me cook. Whoa, wait a minute. Who was 12? Was your mother 12? I think that's impossible. Okay, this one, it would be really easy to add an adverb dependent clause. And if you remember, an adverb dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction. So on this one, I think a good subordinating conjunction would maybe be while or when. So I could say, when I was 12, my mother made me cook. The adverb subordinate clause or adverb dependent clause is when I was 12. So when I was 12 clarifies the sentence here of who was 12. Let's try one more. Covered with gooey cheese, we ate the chips. Who were we covered with cheese? That doesn't sound so bad to me. Oh, nope, focus. I think the chips were supposed to be covered in cheese. So again here, an adjective dependent clause would be an easy way to fix this. We could use an adjective dependent clause to describe the chips like this. We ate the chips, which were covered in gooey cheese. Okay, so for dangling modifiers, you can fix them in many ways, but an easy way to fix them, which I will have you practice, is by turning them into a complex sentence. And again, a complex sentence contains an independent clause and at least one dependent clause. And we've practiced two kinds of dependent clauses that you can use, an adverb dependent clause or an adjective dependent clause. So when you notice a dangling or misplaced modifier, Figure out, well, what would be an easy way to fix this? Would an adverb dependent clause be better or would an adjective dependent clause be better? And then rewrite that sentence to fix those dangling and misplaced modifiers.